Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast. That wasn't very fun. The Avs lose their first game of the season 4-0 to the Pittsburgh Penguins. We're going to try and do a whole podcast about this, but man, I don't know that there's a lot to say here. There is very, very little good, that's for sure. Maybe we can talk about the bad a whole lot, because there was a whole bunch of that. We can start with the 60-second rundown. As the chat is already aware, I do not need 60 seconds to run this game down. 15 is plenty.
At least it is spell Sydney there.
The Avs played some of their worst hockey in a long time, and they gave up 4 goals to the Pittsburgh Penguins. They lost. It sucked. That's it. That's all I got. Yeah, that's the correct noise for this hockey game.
That is accurate. That's what the team bus sounded like going from the hotel to the rink.
A bit of a clown show, to say the least.
Oh, I'd love to hear that right now.
Oh my God, look at his face.
He does look like he's about to have an aneurysm, Jared Bednar. Night was not a good night for him.
He's probably still trying to find his team.
Where'd they go?
Where did they go?
This is like, I don't even know if they're flying out tonight to Buffalo or tomorrow.
Because they do have the 2 days off.
But this is where if you're an assistant coach or you're part of management, like you sit on the plane and you're like, yeah, no. You fold that laptop there. You put that in put that in your briefcase. We're not watching this. We're playing cards right now. We're gonna change your mind. Don't have the urge to go look at that. It's just gonna make you more angry. You gotta go sleep, and then you address it tomorrow. Because they will. They're coaches. That's what they're gonna do. But I would just jump on them, not let them watch it tonight.
So they're gonna play Scopa?
Yeah. Whatever the games you guys were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Might be more valuable than watching back the footage of this hockey game, to be fair.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes you just got to,
It's always good to learn a new skill.
Can the Avs learn how to pass? Would that have helped them tonight?
I know.
I want to start here. When a game goes like this, where did the bad start? Did the bad start this morning? Did it start last night? Did it start when the puck dropped? When did things start going wrong here?
I'll go first.
You're the one who's experienced this.
All right.
So.
Right.
Here's my thought on it. It's not an excuse. Like,
Fight outside.
they were awful. I mean,
Yeah.
but look at it. It's, again, it's training camp. It's a long few weeks. Then you get on the road. You get home for 2, and then you're back on the road. I mean, God, wish they would go, 10 in a row and not have a stinker, but they were due for a stinker tonight, I think. And I think it just, I think you just don't, it just gets monotonous a little bit, and then things didn't go well, and it's rare you see that, but it will happen again this year. It will happen again this year. But I agree. You said it might be the worst one this year. It might be, but I'm talking about we're 20 guys, even the backup goalie could drop a puck on the bench. You know what I mean? Like just coming over from the play. I mean, it was one of those nights. Everybody was kind of bad. Everybody made dumb mistakes. Everybody played bad hockey. Kudos to the Pittsburgh Penguins. They played decent. Give them credit a little bit. They did. They capitalized. They executed on the silver platter mistakes that were made by I call that a silver platter game. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of gimmies. It's like a friendly game, like, hey, you go score, my friend. You go. You know what I mean? And that's wasn't very physical. It was just not. It was not a hockey game typical of the Avalanche, and I just said it earlier. Like, look out, Buffalo, because I'll tell you one thing: they have that winning again. The coaching staff have that winning atmosphere and that championship mentality, and so do the players. And I've told you guys before too. Like back then, you'd be I don't know 10-3 or 11-2, and then you lose a game, and I remember the game after, like, you're working on something, and all of a sudden, like, Patty Watt would lose his mind, and what I mean, and Mike Keane would come over, or Claude Lemieux start yelling at me, like, is this how we forecheck? Is this how it works? And you're like, holy crap, man, like, this is just a prank. No, but it's no, because the mentality is you don't lose 2 in a row. You just don't lose 2 in a row, and that starts in the regular season, and it carries you in the playoffs, because, again, I'll say it again, I said it last week, you lose 2 in a row in the playoffs, you're usually
Done.
a dead duck.
Yeah. Well, Thankfully, this was not a playoff game. It was only one game, as bad as it was. Worth keeping in mind the Avs are 6-1.
Absolutely.
As AJ and I think to a lesser extent all of us were kind of expecting a letdown game at some point.
Yes. Like, the longer it got, it became like in every game, like,
When's it going to happen?
okay. Like, it's coming, and it felt like it was going to be last game, and then they had the nice comeback, and then, good enough third period, they get through it, and you're like, all right, that's great resiliency. And then tonight, there was just never any pushback.
And I'll make light of it too. There's a lot of coaches in the NHL and even in youth hockey. Like sometimes you try to make things light a little bit at practice, or like, instead of having a regular practice, first 10 minutes of the game, you're like, okay, lefties or righties, and righties are no lefties, and then you switch sticks with the other guys. That's what it looked like tonight at the times.
It did.
Kale, best player in the world, right? No, sorry, most valuable player in the world. I say it all the time. Tonight he lost 3-4 times the puck. Very, very not natural of him. Yeah. Same with Nate. Same with Mikko. And then the top end guys have been outstanding. And tonight the puck felt like it was. I don't want to. Maybe a golf ball at time. I don't know. Like I said, it looked like they switched hands. Lefties and righties.
Well, Megan, let me ask you this: Is there any deeper concerns from this game? The fact that they could never get it going, all of the sloppiness top to bottom, or is this really a one-off game? Light it on fire, throw it in the trash.
Yeah, it feels too early to really start overvaluing what this single game means when there's 75 more to go.
For sure.
And seeing the strength of the top players through the first 6 games is really encouraging. And what I think's interesting about tonight that I'm sure we'll unpack a bit more is I feel some of the strongest players for the Avs were the ones who played the simplest games. And that was the depth players, the Logan O'Connor line.
Yep.
We'll get to it, but I actually didn't hate the third line. I thought that was one of the best lines tonight. And obviously they didn't provide any goal support, so I'm sure we'll have a separate conversation about goaltending and concern there, because goal support or not, Georgiev is separately something that we talked about after the Carolina game. They need a plan B for what to do when the workload gets to be just a little too much for Georgiev. And we're in that territory where they just need to have a viable plan there, because through 5 shots, Prosvetov was fine. But we just need a little more clarity around how Georgiev will be utilized. Otherwise, though, I'm not taking too much away from this game, because it looks to me the Avs' problem was overcomplicating things for themselves.
Yep.
And back to the issue of execution, which has been period by period a concern that we've noted about the Avs. Like, that first period there were some execution issues. That was kind of the entire 60 for this game.
Yeah.
And so it just feels like they need a full reset from whatever tonight was. And again, with so much season left ahead, I'm not going to overvalue this one game, especially depending on how the top stars respond to it in Buffalo.
And look, on a night like tonight, I think you can't help but laugh at the lack of execution. There are nights happen where literally nothing you do goes right.
Yeah.
That part of it, I'm willing to say, hey, this is a bit silly, whatever, move on. I do struggle with what you were talking about. You're halfway through this game. It's clearly not working, and the Avs are still trying these super cute, let's do this crazy thing, and it's like, you gotta be a little smarter than that, I think.
But I'll answer to that, and I agree. As a player, you're going to have games where you don't have your stuff. That's what we're talking about. And the only way to get out of a game where you don't have your stuff is to keep it simple. Yep. Whether you're the top player on the team or whether you're the 20th player on the team, if you keep it simple and you just work, as hard as you can. I know it's a cliche. You have a chance to get in the game. Yep. But when you give... Megan, what'd you call your liner? You said Avs beat themselves.
Oh, yeah.
It's a silver platter game. That's what that is. Even the penalty, the first penalty, it's a little lazy hooking penalty. Is it a soft call? It is. From Nate on, I don't remember. On Malkin, right?
Yeah.
They score. And then, second, third, and fourth are 3 gimmies.
Yeah.
They're 3 freebie. I mean, it's not... it's not like Pittsburgh did some unbelievable and you got to give them credit. No, there were silver platters.
Well,
Like, here you go.
And I mean, let's go through the goals chronologically here.
Sure.
The first one, maybe the one I have the least problem with. The Avs actually put on a great penalty kill.
Yeah.
And then a puck comes out to the middle of the ice. Sammy's waving his stick on the ice like this, crazy. Even then, bit of a tough break that the puck slingshots out right to the slot onto Riley Smith's stick.
What does he think is going to happen, though? That's where he's slapping at it.
Sure.
He's slapping at it, trying to get it out of the zone, but he's laying on the ice.
Yeah.
He's just waving his stick at it. He's not going to get enough on it to get it out of the zone unless he gets really, really lucky. The whole thing is it's emblematic of how careless they were with the puck all night.
For sure.
And that's just bad from Gerard.
It's not good.
It's just bad, man.
Not the worst play of the night, though.
It's unnecessarily and uncharacteristically desperate to drop to the belly for a stick check when you could have otherwise played that upright.
I think that's a really good point because it felt like a lot of times tonight, I think the Avs knew they didn't have it, but their response was to try desperate, crazy stuff.
That's my point. If you go back to simplicity, you have a chance to get out of it. And tonight they just never went back to simplicity. You know, go to goal number 2. That's Mikko. That's on the wall. That's trying something backwards. And, you know, and ends up on Malkin. Malkin's is an elite player, right? Is he top 100 in the history of the NHL, right? He made the list, correct? Yeah. So you give that guy the puck. It's a 2-on-1. You know, what are you going to fall Georgiev there? You know, I mean, there's nothing he can do. It's the stupid play in the offensive zone, and Mikko knows it. He's back checking, he's slapping his stick, and he's like, "Oh my god!" On
We're gonna
top
call that
of it,
back checking.
Yeah,
well,
generous.
He
you
went
know
for
what
a
I mean.
Sunday skate in that general direction, man.
No, that's my point. And Mikko knows. He knows that's the wrong play. You know what I mean? And there's nights you'll get away from it, like with it, they won't score, and then you're like, okay, let's shake it up, like Mikko does sometimes. Yeah, we call it the 3 play, right? You know?
Yeah.
But tonight that was deadly because now it's 2-0, and you're like, oof. That's a tough one.
And it was just hard on a night like tonight where you had the multiple failures. Obviously, you're looking at Mikko at that turnover, giving up a 2-on-1 the other way. Yeah, not okay. But behind that, on most nights, you think Devontae's has a pretty decent chance of breaking that 2-on-1 up.
Or providing resistance of some kind.
Instead, he covers nothing.
Giving his goaltender an opportunity
Yeah.
to either play the pass, play the shot, to do something. And Devontae's literally...
It's tough.
He covers nothing.
There's no resistance there. There's no resistance. He does not make it a remotely competitive play there. And Georgiev pays the price.
And, you're kind of stepping through this game at that point. Before that goal, you're like, all right, the Avs have played a pretty bad first period, but it's only 1-0.
Yeah.
If they figure it out, they're in this game. You give up that goal late in the first. Now it's 2-0. Now you're in a real hole.
Yeah.
Game gets hard to dig yourselves out of at that point.
Well, and then they get a 4-minute power play,
Well, that was at the end of the second.
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah.
none of this goes well.
Yeah,
No.
I really, as a whole, there's really very few positive things to talk about. And even the things we'll get to, like Megan mentioned, the third line, the good shifts they had ended up getting plays where Jari robs them or whatever. So just really, really tough. When you're playing that poorly and things aren't going your way, this is the type of game you end up in. Second period of the game, I actually thought the Avs played okay for the first 3 minutes of the second period, which is probably the best stretch of hockey of the game for them. And that's not saying a lot, but it wasn't as bad as the rest. And then Josh Manson happens in front of his own net. I can't explain this one. Seems the first thing defensemen do in that situation, you see it all the time. They slap a puck to the corner. Josh Manson mishandles a puck and then tries to toe drag it back to himself, 1 foot in front of his own net, gets poke checked while doing it, and it's in the back of your net.
That's probably one where you're like, this is a little bad luck because the way that it bounces.
Sure.
And it goes right to a dude standing where there's no Av covering him because why would there be? That puck is supposed to be moving the other direction. And he just slaps into an open net and it's like, well, cool.
But it was a bad ship. The whole ship was bad.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
he
the
couldn't get out of his own end.
I mean,
He
the
had-
50 seconds
Yeah.
were, I mean, for everyone on the ice. It was just, it was one of those shifts you're like, oh, whoa, wow.
I mean,
and then.
Beyond the whole night was bad, to be honest with you.
Well, and for Josh Manson, it was a really tough night.
Yeah.
Like, even going back to that Gerard belly on that first, it was a failed clear from Manson that leads to the puck even getting near Gerard there. And this isn't to focus solely on Josh Manson. It was just a tough night. Like, even on this goal that we're talking about, he struggles to get out of his own end, even to make this play possible, and ends up getting down ice to Miles Wood only for it to be turned over at the offensive blue line, right back the other way, and they're not prepared for it. Everyone that's on the ice, but Josh Manson especially plays that in a weird and unfortunate way.
It's just tough. I think that third pairing, again, we've talked about it a little bit already this season, but you're having a night where clearly Cale Makar and Devon Taves are not they're not doing it. They didn't have it, and the whole team didn't have it, to be fair. But you kind of just have to look at Makar and Taves and go, hope you guys figure it out, because we can't rely on the Josh Manson, Jack Johnson pairing to do anything effective.
Yeah, I mean, that pairing is bad.
Yep.
And the nice part about it is that you don't feel like that pairing cost you anything.
No.
Because everybody around them, also bad.
For sure.
And so you're like, yeah, your third pairing, bad tonight. You know what else was bad? Your top pairing.
Everybody
and your
else.
top line.
Yeah.
And your second line. And you're just like going down the roster. Like, all these guys were bad tonight. And so, yeah, you could be upset that the third pairing was bad, but it just didn't make much of a difference.
Is this... let me put it this way. Is there any concern about the mentality from the Avs in this game? With the continuing to try stuff that clearly isn't working? Or is it, like Megan said, easy mental reset?
Oh, I'll jump on this one. It is an easy mental. I agree. Oh, sorry, I'm pushing the mic. I agree with Megan, but it is, and that's, how can I say that? It's called experience too, right? As a teenager, you have a tough day at school. You know, you might harp on it for days, right? You know, where you're an adult, you've seen the movie. You're like, you know what? All right, tomorrow's another day. The sun's gonna rise, and so those guys know how to win. Those guys know how to put things behind them. You know, you got to be able to put things by as a goaltender, as a player, as a team, and as a coaching staff as well. You know, if he comes in tomorrow, which he's not going to, but you got young coaches, you know, they want to install their beliefs the next day, and they've won 6 in a row, and they go to practice tomorrow, and they're just absolutely a pain in the butt, and everything's bad, and they're blowing the whistle, and people are like, man, what's wrong with you? Like we always say, you win 6 out of 7, you're going to finish first in this league.
Yep.
So you can't harp on that one that was on. Now, if you play like that tomorrow, you know, not tomorrow, but Sunday, play like that in the next one, it's like, okay, hold on a second. Like, you know, we're on to something right now, you know? But I'll bet my house right now that Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, and Kel Makar will not have that same kind of game next game that they had tonight. So that's just the way it is.
If the Avs play this bad again this year, you're like, okay, wait a minute, this has got to stop. But one game,
It's okay.
whatever. I can move on. I can live with that, even if it did suck to watch.
Oh, it did. It's painful.
Would you guys say that Pittsburgh walked all over the Avs tonight?
No, not really.
No.
Am I ruining this for you? Yeah, dude. Stomped all over them.
No, it's fine.
I mean, my God, look at the third period. Like, as we're dominating for 3, and then Nate drops the puck in the slot there, whatever, to Crosby. He's just trying to be friendly to his,
He's just trying to be friendly.
to his Nova Scotia buddy. But, you know what I mean? It's like, really? Like, no, Pittsburgh didn't even touch the puck. Like, there was times of the game, the Avs weren't executing. But Pittsburgh wasn't touching the puck. I mean, they executed when they had to, Pittsburgh, and the Avs didn't. But the Avs had the puck. I mean, like, they were just fumbling it. They just were making bad decisions. But I wouldn't say Pittsburgh, like, dominated them. Not at all.
If you want to get
they
sneaker
did.
drops at the same level that Mac is dropping pucks to Pittsburgh, check out Soul Savvy. For real, though,
Good adjustment.
if you're a sneakerhead, you really should be using Soul Savvy. Full stop. It's a great application. It makes sure you don't miss any of the biggest sneaker drops out there, and also has things like raffles and notifications for your chance to get the coolest sneakers around. You can go over to links.soulsavvy.com/DNVR, or you can download the Drops app today to become a part of it. They have drop alerts with instant notifications, so you never miss a release again. They do raffles occasionally for sneakers, which if you're a sneakerhead, you know some of those sneakers can be really hard to get your hands on. And they even have a release calendar, so you know when the next big drop is coming and you can get in on the action. Highly recommend, if you are into sneakers at all, to at least check this thing out because it's fantastic to use. Sometimes sneakers, they're a crazy market. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really understand it, but people who like their sneakers like their sneakers. In fact, this Saturday they have the Air Jordan 12 Cherry dropping, and it's on the Drops by Soul Savvy. So make sure you get in and get notified on that one to get in on the newest Air Jordan shoes. Go check them out. Again, sign up for Soul Savvy by clicking the link in the description. You can use that QR code on screen or go to links.soulsavvy.com/DNVR to let them know we sent you and get that Drops app by Soul Savvy. Also brought to you by the wonderful people over at DraftKings Sportsbook. When you sign up with code DNVR and bet $5 on any FL game. Ooh, that does look old.
McKinnon didn't have veneers yet.
Gabriel Borg.
It's Gabrielle Moore.
Wild. Anyway, DraftKings, sign up with the DNVR code, bet $5 on football, get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Jump on it. Get in with the action. You can bet on whatever you want, including Avs hockey or anything else over at DraftKings. We love those guys over here, obviously. Yeah, tons of fun bets getting out there right now. Hope you didn't bet on the Avs tonight, like me. But you know what? That's sports. Sometimes things happen that way. Go check them out over at DraftKings.com/sportsbook today. Of course, you must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. If you have any questions, you can see the show notes for details or go to DraftKings.com/sportsbook for more information. Hang on. I gotta find the longest disclaimer in history. PHNX has this pre-recorded. We gotta get this pre-recorded too.
Oh, dude, that is the move.
Yeah. We're falling behind the times. We got to get in on it. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boo Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Licensee partner, Golden Nugget Lake Charles, LA. 21 plus, age varies based on jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. On bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Whew, I put more effort into that than the Avs did in this hockey game. Let's be real. Second period of the podcast. Not a lot. Look, is that 4-minute double minor that the Avs get at the end of the second period, is that a chance back into the game? Should that have been made into something more than it was? Or was the game kind of already headed the way it was headed at that point?
Yeah, I mean, that's your opening. You score there, it's 3-1 going into the third period, you're alive.
Sure.
2-goal leads get erased in the NHL on a semi-regular basis.
Yep.
In the third period of games. 3-goal leads, not so much. Although I know Boston just did that tonight against Anaheim and lost, so. But yeah, that's your chance, right? And your power play hadn't been great.
Yep.
This is your opportunity to really get moving in the right direction, and they just don't do it. And let's be real. Tristan Jarry, the best scoring
Played
opportunities that the
very
Avs had
well.
all game. Tristan Jarry robs them.
Yep.
He makes 3 or 4 great saves in this game. Now, obviously, if all of those go in, you're in a different game.
Yeah.
This is the NHL. Not all of them go in. That's not how this works. But if you get one there and it's a 3-1 game going into the third period, yeah, you have a path back into it.
Okay.
Maybe they feel better, and it doesn't mean that they do it, but it at least opens the door. When they don't do anything with it,
Game was toasted.
it's just pretty consistent. They just didn't do much all night.
Yep. Fair enough.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to take it a little spicier here. Pittsburgh is 2-4 coming in. A lot of people are calling for Mike Sullivan's head. I've been there 9 years. We're talking about I need a new voice, and by the way, Mike Sullivan, great guy. Not my best friend, but a person that I believe is a good coach, a good person. So you don't wish anything on anybody, but here he is. He's up 3-0. And I'll tell you one thing. His heart dropped when that 4-minute penalty happened. He's like, you got to be kidding me.
Not again.
Wow. Not now. Not against that team. All of a sudden, the Avs score very logically. I mean, could have easily scored 2 goals. We all know that. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you have a different ball game. And I say that costs his job somewhere, somehow. You know what I mean? Because they might go down on a spiral. You know what I mean? You don't recover for things like that. So Megan always says, like, this guy's a good guy. Maybe the Avalanche are just great guys. They just wanted to be nice to Mike Sullivan and make sure he was good to go. So kudos to the Avs. Because that was a bad power play.
It wasn't good.
It was awful.
I do want to get to some of those positives you were talking about, Megan.
Take it away, sister.
No, but
This should be quick.
Look, other than the puck actually going in the net, you had to like Jonathan Drouin tonight at least, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's an overwhelming criticism I've seen even after this game, but I thought this was one of his best performances, and I thought that so much of the creation from that line was driven by him, and I think that also helped them to even get those entries into the ozone, to even sustain the pressure that they were able to once there because of Drouin. And those are just the ways that he'll be able to help down the line. Like, even looking at that second power play unit, I think it was right after it had expired or still at the tail end of it. But one of the best scoring chances late in this game is from Drouin to Byram. Yep. And it's just some good creation. I think that skill upside, it's like now that he's had some reps with that third line, I'm starting to see it come together a little bit more. Tonight wasn't really the night because there were a lot of other things just not going well for them. But I was encouraged by Drouin's step forward and hope that with continued time playing with Colton especially, I think those two complement each other nicely. I think that they're starting to get comfortable.
And, I mean, you talk about a guy who understood the assignment tonight. The Avs didn't have it going. He's the guy firing pucks from outside the circle on the left side, just putting a puck on net. He gets a puck in the high slot. He throws the puck on net. He gets robbed by Jari on the play, but in a game where the Avs were trying these cute passes through 3 sticks all the time, Drouin picked his spots in being the setup man and was throwing pucks towards the net. So I do want to give him some credit there, and credit to the fourth line as well. Freddie Olofsson arguably had the best chance of the night for the Avs fairly early in the game.
From O'Connor.
Just couldn't get it to go.
That line, I felt, did its job.
Yeah.
They need to bring a little energy, have a good shift in the offensive zone. They did those things. They don't score, but it's a fourth line,
Yep. Yeah.
It's more of an indictment of how the Avs played.
Sure.
That Frederick Olofsson has their best scoring chance in the game.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
True.
Than anything else, It's a good scoring chance, but, I mean, give me a break. The talent that they have at the top of this roster, you got multiple guys that are going to end up in the Hall of Fame someday, and Frederick Olofsson's, just one of those nights.
It's a night where you're watching all of the Avs' top players defer to throw pucks into, at times, nobody.
Yeah.
So
the Ryan Johansson on
drop
the
to
power play.
nobody behind the net. Yeah,
that was
tough to watch.
That was one where you're in the third period of this game, man, and you're still trying this stuff.
Yeah,
that stubbornness was probably the most frustrating part of this game for me.
Yeah,
is that there was no like collective voice saying, guys,
let's start pulling in the same direction.
Just keep this simple. We need to simplify our game. We are trying to make this too hard on ourselves. We are not executing at a high enough level to be playing hockey like this.
Yep.
And, they just don't ever change it up, really, and it just continues to go the exact same way. When Cale Makar gets a puck out high and just stick handles himself out of the zone on accident, and you're just like, what is going on here, man? Like, that's the stuff where you're just like, there's not your night, and there's whatever the hell this is.
Well, the coaching staff, I'm sure, harped on it, and then there's just nights you just have brain cramps after brain cramps after brain cramps. You know what I mean? And I think you're just trying to do the right thing. You're just not. And that was the example tonight, I think, because it's not normal that they were all doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, I'm fine with it happening as long as it doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah, and it's a totally normal human thing for one or two guys to have nights like that where you're like, okay, Mac doesn't have it or Mikko doesn't have it or whatever.
75% of the
But
team is...
when the majority of your team all goes through the same thing, it's like, okay, great. Let's just get out of here healthy and forget about this.
And this kind of brings us to the Georgiev conversation. Look, first 3 goals, absolutely not on him at all. Dude got completely hung out to dry.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for starters, I have no problem with Georgiev tonight. 4th goal wasn't great, but game was over at that point anyway. It didn't matter.
Nitpick the 4th goal, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's like a brutal McKinnon
Yeah,
turnover.
then there were huge problems for sure.
And the Crosby's in the slot.
Yeah.
Like,
Top 10
okay.
player in the history of the game.
They take him out. They give him 7 minutes of rest or whatever it is at the end of the game with Prosvetov coming in. They have 2 days off. If it's me, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm starting Georgiev in Buffalo. In part because what is the answer? Are they really going to start Prosvetov for a game?
They can if they want to. Like
They
they claimed
physically
him.
can,
They've
but-
kept him. They've done all this, whatever, right?
You're
Like,
allowed to.
but for me, it's just like, oh, what fatigue are we talking about here?
There's no fatigue.
This is 7 games in 16 days or something. Like, are we going to be talking about Georgiev's fatigue in Game 6 of a postseason series when they've played every other day? You know, like, I get that it's the start of the year, but they've had a ton of rest. I don't feel like this is fatigue. It's just that he could not continue to be superhuman, which is what he was through the first 4 games.
There was a lot of dysfunction in front of him tonight, too, that I'm willing to write that off. But also, I think it would be detrimental to Georgiev's confidence to not let him play in Buffalo, which I don't doubt that he wants to, too. So I kind of look, if I'm better, I turn to Georgiev and I say, you know, what do you want? I'm sure he wants a game to redeem himself, because I'm sure he's still beating himself up over this game a little bit, even though we acknowledge that there were a lot of things happening, breaking down in front of him before those goals happened. I think he wants Buffalo as a chance to also get right himself. And I think for his confidence, it would be bad if they didn't allow him that chance.
Well, he's a fighter, and he's going to say, yeah, put me in. I mean, if I'm him, that's what I do tomorrow. I go see coach. I'm like, hey, I'm not tired. I'm in.
I mean, from a team standpoint, I look at it this way. You're 1-1 on this road trip. You want to win the road trip. Georgiev gives you a better chance than Prosvetov, certainly. I can't imagine them calling up Annunen to fly him out to the East Coast to play one game. It doesn't feel like something they would want to commit to. And then they would have to figure out what are they doing with Prosvetov at that point, too.
Well, and then they have 2 more days off. They come back home. They play St. Louis. There's your game.
Yep.
Prosvetov plays against St. Louis. Then you go out to Vegas, and you've got a totally fresh whatever Georgiev.
For the real opponent.
He plays on Sunday. He should really not be seriously fatigued at this point.
Yep.
But then you give him the week off, essentially. Because if he doesn't play against St. Louis,
Bingo.
he will play next Saturday in Vegas.
That's 5 days off.
You care about that game more than you care about the St. Louis game. Now, I know, like, 2 points, whatever, but it's St. Louis. Like, you feel like if you really think that Prosvetov is actually going to be a guy that can help you out, you have to trust him with a game against St. Louis.
Yep.
Now, if they wanted to even play Georgiev after that, it's 2 days off before the Blues game. So, you know, you're still not talking about a heavy workload in terms of games started in a certain number of days. The last 2 months of the season, he will have a more aggressive schedule than this.
It's well, and look, that Vegas game really is the start of the normalization of a season. You start getting into more of an every other day rhythm at that point. So I do think it would be nice to have an idea of what the hell is going on at backup goaltender at that point.
Totally.
But Georgiev will continue to be the guy. It's not like there's any questions about is he the starter. So,
And had the team played worth a damn in front of him, we would have gotten an opportunity to see,
Maybe he steals this one or something.
Well, and
yeah.
maybe he just plays the way that he's been playing for the most part, where he's really good.
Yep.
He gets, he gives up 2 goals or whatever, but they handed 3 of those goals.
Yep.
Just get handed to Pittsburgh.
Certainly 2 of them, he never had a chance in hell on.
No opportunity whatsoever. The first one is it's a turnover 3 feet in front of your net in the middle of the ice, and the guy goes bar down on you.
Technically had an opportunity to make a save on it, but
Right, where he was at least in the net, unlike the other 2 where he doesn't even have an opportunity. And then the 4th goal, I don't like it. It's a bad goal.
What is the vibe? Is it just Prosvetov? Is that where we're at? Is he the backup?
For Sunday?
Just
In general?
In general, who's going to actually play backup this year?
I don't know.
Don't know?
Yeah, because, when they're home, it's easy to get used to Sonnen
Sure,
in back
for
there.
sure.
And I think they would want to reward him for having a good camp that he had. They've shown some comfort having 3 goaltenders for a brief period. So I don't know if it's Prosvetov. I do think, though, that we need to see a little more from him. I hope that St. Louis game is one that we get to see what he's made of, so we could better have that conversation, because I don't know that it's solidly his backup spot.
I mean, it's just about clarity, right? You don't want to be figuring out who your backup goalie is in February.
No.
Oh, they'll figure it out.
Be ideal, man.
I mean, they'll figure it out. They I mean, who knows? Things change so quickly, but I'm not familiar with him. I mean, I've seen him play a few times in Phoenix and stuff like that, and Tucson, but I can't tell you that
The Avs
I
were
like
bad
him
enough.
or
I don't need to talk
dislike
about
him. You know what I mean?
Prosvetov.
They're what?
I said the Avs were bad enough tonight. I don't need to continue talking bad about
exactly.
players.
That's what I mean. It's not. It's
Hey, he
not.
stopped 5 of 5.
He did everything he could have possibly done
Yeah.
tonight.
Well, tonight you
perfect
got Georgiev or Prosvetov, and it's the same outcome. So it doesn't matter. I mean,
that nothing was going to save what the skaters did in this game.
Jonas Johansson and Ivan Prosvetov, both with shutouts tonight.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
Goalie farm. Colorado.
if you've been hung out to dry as bad as Georgiev did tonight, he might have a case to call Bacchus and Schenker on that one. You can call him at 222-2222 today. Seriously, though, if you've been in a car accident or if something happened where you're not at fault and you were injured, that's where Bacchus and Schenker have your back. Even if it was like at work or something like that, they'll give you a free consultation at the 2-number or coloradolaw.net. And if they think you have a case, you will pay them nothing up front. They don't get paid until you get paid, and they're very good at getting their clients paid. They've won over $1 billion for their clients in the 25 years they've been doing this here in Colorado. Give them a call. Get what you deserve. Get in on it with Bacchus and Schenker. Make sure you're getting it right. So Bacchus and Schenker, get with them because they win. Also brought to you by the place right across from Ball Arena, MSU Denver. You can get over there. They have over 90 different major programs that you can get involved with, whether you're going to college for the first time or coming back like many of us here have done. Just ask me and Tiff. That's what we did with going to MSU. And they will get you on the right path to having the career that you want. You can take classes on campus or online or do a mix of both. You can even do some things with creating your own major there and making sure you're getting to the classes that you specifically want to get to. So get over there. If you haven't, you can register for the spring semester now over at msudenver.com. It's .edu. My bad. msudenver.edu. Jump on it. Check out MSU. It's a great way to get back to or start your college experience. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. I really don't have a ton else to say about this one. I know we have some super chats to get to, which we can hit, and then we can kind of get to our final thoughts and keep this one quick. $5 from Pin King, who says, wishing a quick recovery for Eric Brancham, who was stretchered off the ice during the Islanders Senators game. Bad fall after a hit. Yeah, injuries suck. Full stop. You never want to see anyone get injured. Bad times.
Hope he's okay.
Yep. Thank you for the 5. $10 from RTV, who says, horrible game, horrible effort, but 6-1-0 is better than Pittsburgh's 3-4-1 now, but yep. Or whatever record they had. This Avs team is too good. I think they bounce back Sunday against Buffalo.
I will say, bad games happen.
Yep.
They happen to everybody. They happen to bad days happen to everybody. This is a totally normal human thing. But it's not the bad day that defines you. It's the day after.
Yep.
And
go.
that's where the Buffalo game, to me, its importance got ratcheted up here. Because you want to see how's the team respond to this.
Yeah.
So that for me is like, now I'm even more excited about the game on Sunday because like Eric said earlier,
The best teams in the world don't lose 2 games in a row very often.
yeah, and they certainly don't put efforts like that onto the
You know,
ice.
they
They play a really good game, they lose. Sometimes that just happens in hockey, but
this is very much a hey. One game that goes this horribly is one game. If the next game also looks like this, alarm bells start going off pretty quick.
yeah, well, and then you don't want to. You've built a nice little cushion in your division already.
You can get away with some sloppiness for
Of
sure.
course, but you want to continue to put pressure on all the teams around you to keep winning games.
Yep.
The Stars might be on their way to a regulation loss right now on home ice.
Yeah. Minnesota did lose tonight.
Exactly.
so-
Minnesota went to Philadelphia and no showed as well. So something's just up with Pennsylvania.
I guess, man.
But like that, I think tonight it happens. When a team just has such a blatantly bad night, you kind of just throw it in the trash. As long as it doesn't become 2 bad nights.
Yep,
it's fine.
exactly.
It's whatever. So that's for me is the focus here.
And while we're here after games, we're on the post game. We don't get to listen to coach's presser, but I think coach is listening to us because Megan and I just read that Georgiev is coming back Sunday. Bednar said he's coming back with him,
Good.
and that's
Not
exactly
surprising.
you know what I mean. Like not so exactly. He's like, hey, I didn't have a problem with his game. You know what I mean? And like Megan said about his confidence and everything, you don't want to mess around with your goaltender. And yeah, if you look on it, it's 3 games in a row, like you said, 4+ goals, right? It's like, hey, whoa. But when you dissect the goals, it's not. And like he said, they gave up 10 scoring chances, and 3 of them were silver platters. That's what Bednar said on his presser. 10 scoring chances, 3 of them were gimmies. Exactly what we've been saying.
And I think, at times Bednar has been coy in the past with who's he's going to start and all of that. To say that in the post-game presser kind
Love
of
it.
shows, hey,
Yeah.
this game is over. We're moving past it. We're focused on the next one.
He's
That's
playing
my
cards.
goalie.
He's playing cards tonight. Like I said, if they're on the plane, he's playing cards. He's not watching this horror movie. You know what I mean?
This horror movie.
It is.
It was a
It's horrible.
spooky
Halloween
Halloween game.
Yeah. I mean, you could have titled this game Scream, and I would have believed
They were
you.
possessed by different hockey players.
He's playing cards
Big
tonight.
Space Jam energy. They got Monstered tonight.
They got
A little
monstered.
bit. It felt like it.
Yeah.
And then we have one more super chat, $5 from Clay, who says, "C'est la vie, couldn't be less concerned about this
French
hockey
guy.
team."
All right. My guy.
I think most Americans know "C'est la vie."
Oh, shoot.
I'll just ask him to spell it.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Watch that
But-
adventure begin.
Was it spelled right? I can't read.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, burn the tape. Absolutely brutal. No need to ever watch that hockey game again.
No.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
That penalty kill, though, fellas.
It was a great penalty kill until the
until
second
it ends,
that it ended.
and then
yeah.
they're still in their own end.
Yeah. Anyway, we are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery as well. You can get yours down here at the bar, 8 different kinds on tap, or find it anywhere in the United States with the Breck Beer Locator online at breckbrew.com. Go get your Halloween spooky October beers because now's the time to grab them. And also brought to you by Snarfs, the delicious sandwich that can help fill the hole in your heart because of this hockey game.
Yeah.
Fill your pain with food.
That's what they needed. They needed
Yep.
Snarf's pregame.
Something to give them some energy. My God. Sandwiches are delicious. If you haven't been, you got to go check out Snarf's. They have ridiculous creations like the hot dog bacon sandwich or, more normal sandwiches. Their roast beef. Mwah, I loved it. It was so good.
Love it.
You can't go wrong with Snarf's. Go check them out today and become part of the Snarf's customer rewards app as well. You can download that and get a BOGO 7-inch sub today from Snarf's. Go check it out as AJ's losing it over there.
It was just the way you said it. You were like, sandwiches are delicious. It didn't sound like a Snarf's thing, just like a...
Just sandwiches in general.
exactly.
I love sandwiches.
Facts.
Shangy.
I've served Pittsburgh a couple of sandwiches tonight.
Oh, man. No, those were pizzas.
They were pizzas. Yeah, not. I mean, pizza could be a sandwich. Not going there.
Whoa.
Wow. Whoa.
Cut the tape.
I mean, like a Detroit style with the squares.
Well, you just take two pieces and smack them on top of each other.
You don't want that. You don't want all the toppings in the cheese. No, that's a
But
terrible
that's a
idea.
sandwich.
You just take two different pieces, especially
He
if
says
Detroit
those
style,
cheese puffs aren't chips.
and then you put
two pizzas or sandwiches.
You need silverware with pizza. You
something
guys
in
have it all
between.
wrong.
Whoa.
mash it together.
Yeah, I'm saying.
You don't need to use two slices like that.
But then you get the bread on the top and bottom. It's much more sand. Anyway, we're getting off
this
this
is
show
terrible
because
idea.
there's nothing more to say about this hockey game. We will be back tomorrow. We're having a special guest on. Should be an interesting conversation about the Avalanche. So,
Ooh, yeah, on the heels of this game too.
we'll see what we dive into. But
Lucky her.
join us for that. And then we're off Saturday, but we will cover the matinee for you Sunday. So like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Go find all of our post games because, yes, we're going to go do more work about this hockey game tonight. TheDNVR.com for all of that. We appreciate you, and we will see you in the next one.
We all silly like the mayor.